In this edition, we give you a look inside life in the French Foreign Legion.
Fighting for France, serving a country which isn't their own. It's been around for 180 years, and there's no other country in the world that has a foreign legion.
The French Foreign Legion is one of the most mysterious and fascinating military units in the world. Unlike most armies that recruit citizens from their own nations, this force is made up of men from all corners of the globe who often leave behind their pasts, their names, and even their identities to join a brotherhood of soldiers. The Legion is not simply another part of the French military. It is a unique institution that has built its reputation on toughness, loyalty, and sacrifice. For nearly 2 centuries, it has attracted exiles, adventurers, fugitives, and those who wanted to disappear from society, forging them into an elite fighting force. Many have called it a mercenary army, while others see it as a haven for the stateless and the desperate. Either way, the French Foreign Legion stands apart from all other armies in history. The Legion was founded in 1831 by King Louis-Philippe of France. The idea was simple but radical: create a military unit that could use foreign recruits for French wars, particularly in the colonies, while keeping them separate from the regular French army. This meant that France could expand its military power without risking unrest among its citizens. From its very beginning, the Legion was stationed in Algeria, where France was building its colonial empire. The recruits came from across Europe: Germans, Spaniards, Italians, and even Poles who had lost their nations in wars. For many, the Legion was a way to escape political persecution, economic hardship, or criminal charges. It was brutal, but it offered food, shelter, and a purpose to men who had nowhere else to turn. The life of a legionnaire was famously harsh. Discipline was severe, punishments were extreme, and desertion was often met with violent consequences. The Legion quickly developed a reputation as a place where men were broken down and rebuilt into soldiers who would obey orders without hesitation. The harsh training was not just for show, it was necessary for survival. The Legion was often sent to the harshest battlefields, where conditions were deadly and the chances of survival were slim. Algeria, Indochina, and later Vietnam became graveyards for countless legionnaires who fought in battles that were often lost before they began. Yet the Legion persisted and grew stronger with every campaign. One of the most defining aspects of the French Foreign Legion is its anonymity. When a recruit joins, he is allowed to enlist under a new name. This tradition was not only symbolic, but also practical. Many of the men who came to the Legion were fugitives, criminals, or men who wanted to erase their past lives. The Legion became a home for those who sought redemption or simply escape. Over time, this rule was slightly modified, and today recruits must reveal their true identities eventually. But the spirit of anonymity remains. In the Legion, it does not matter who you were. It matters only who you are as a soldier. The Legion has often been described as a mercenary force, and in some ways this is true. The men who join are not French citizens, at least not at the beginning. They are foreigners who fight for pay and for the promise of a new life. But to call the Legion purely mercenary is to miss the deeper truth. Legionnaires are bound by an extraordinary sense of loyalty and brotherhood. They do not fight only for money. They fight for the man next to them, for the regiment, and for the honor of the Legion. It is this unique bond that separates the Legion from other mercenary groups throughout history. Perhaps the most famous battle in Legion history is the Battle of Cameroon in 1863. During the French intervention in Mexico, a small company of just 65 legionnaires under Captain Jean d'Anjou was surrounded by over 2,000 Mexican soldiers. Instead of surrendering, the Legion fought to the last man, refusing to break even when death was certain. Only a handful survived, and they were captured rather than defeated. Cameroon became the ultimate symbol of legionnaire loyalty and courage. Every year on April 30th, the Legion commemorates Cameroon Day as a reminder of their code of honor. Fight to the death rather than surrender. In the 20th century, the Legion was thrown into some of the bloodiest wars in modern history. During the two world wars, it fought on multiple fronts, often suffering heavy casualties. In the First Indochina War, it became a central force in France's struggle to hold on to Vietnam. The Battle of Dien Bien Phu in 1954 was another Cameroon moment, where the Legion fought valiantly against overwhelming Viet Minh forces, but ultimately fell. Thousands of legionnaires died, and those who survived faced brutal conditions as prisoners of war. Yet, the legend of the Legion only grew stronger from their sacrifice. Algeria was another turning point. The Legion was deeply involved in France's bloody war to hold on to its colony. The conflict was not just military, but political, with the Legion caught in the middle of French politics, colonial resistance, and even attempted coups. For many in France, the Legion represented the colonial past they wanted to forget. But for others, it remained a symbol of toughness and loyalty. Even after Algeria gained independence, the Legion survived while many thought it would dissolve. What makes the Legion so fascinating is the kind of men it attracts. Over the years, it has welcomed ex-Nazis, former criminals, runaway lovers, political refugees, and even men with royal blood. In the Legion, all are equal. You may find a former aristocrat scrubbing floors next to a man who once lived on the streets. The Legion strips away past identities and builds a new one, Legionnaire. It is said that when you wear the famous white kepi hat, your past no longer matters. Life in the Legion is still grueling today. Training is considered among the toughest in the world, designed to push men beyond their limits. Marches can stretch hundreds of kilometers, and physical punishment is constant. Yet many who join see this hardship as part of the appeal. In a world where modern life often feels soft and disconnected, the Legion offers raw, brutal reality and the chance to prove oneself in ways few other paths allow. Modern-day legionnaires serve across the world in peacekeeping missions, counterterrorism, and combat operations. They are still sent to the toughest environments, from deserts to jungles, and remain the first in and the last out. Unlike many national armies, the Legion does not shy away from casualties, and its soldiers are still expected to put the mission above their own lives. This uncompromising code is what keeps the Legion's mystique alive. One of the most fascinating aspects of joining the Legion today is the path to French citizenship. After serving honorably, legionnaires can apply to become French citizens. France even has a concept called French by spilled blood, meaning that a legionnaire wounded in battle can immediately apply for citizenship. For many men who joined Stateless, this is not just a reward, but a rebirth. The Legion offers something that no mercenary company can give: a new identity, a new country, and a new sense of belonging. Critics often argue that the Legion exploits desperate men, using their hardships as fuel for war. There is truth in this claim, as many recruits come from poverty, war zones, or broken lives. But at the same time, the Legion gives them a second chance. Some of the most loyal French citizens today were once foreigners who earned their place through the Legion. For these men, it is not exploitation, but opportunity. Even in the modern age, the Legion holds on to its traditions. The white kepi, the slow march, and the songs in multiple languages remain symbols of its unique culture. Unlike other armies that blend into national identities, the Legion insists on being different. It celebrates its foreignness, making diversity its strength rather than a weakness. The French Foreign Legion remains a paradox. It is a mercenary army, yet it is bound by honor. It is made up of foreigners, yet it is one of the strongest symbols of French military pride. It is a refuge for the desperate, yet it demands absolute sacrifice. This is why the Legion fascinates historians, soldiers, and ordinary people alike. The men who join the Legion do not simply become soldiers. They are reborn. They become part of a brotherhood that will last for life, one that often matters more than family or nation. Whether one sees it as a mercenary force, a haven for the stateless, or simply an elite unit, there is no denying its uniqueness. The French Foreign Legion has survived wars, defeats, political turmoil, and global change. And as long as there are men who seek redemption, adventure, or simply a place to belong, the Legion will continue to march forward, carrying its white kepis into the unknown. The story of the French Foreign Legion is, at its core, the story of human resilience. Men who arrived with nothing but broken pasts found a way to rebuild themselves through loyalty, discipline, and sacrifice. The Legion proves that strength can be forged out of desperation and that even in anonymity, a new identity can take shape. Yes, it is a mercenary army of stateless warriors, but it is also something far deeper. It is a brotherhood that rises above nations, languages, and past mistakes. For those who wear the Legion's uniform, the past matters less than the bond they share and the future they are willing to fight for.